By Bet Live from Sportsbet. Harvey Norman. Shop with confidence online, mobile and at your local store. The Commodore VF2. Power ahead. And McDonald's, cheering for footy's little wins.
They've got a great mix of players of inside, outside. It's always tough against.
This program brought to you by Harvey Norman. Shop with confidence online, mobile and at your local store. And McDonald's, cheering for footy's little wins.
A rematch, not a replay. Stakes are high though. McAvoy taps it down. Mitchell, first kick of the game, floats it down towards half forward. Thumped away by Hearn, comes back in his direction, lays it off. Schofield in the shadows, causing some concern for Cripps out there. That light, well played. Gibson wheels around, looks down towards the pocket, knocked away by the defence, there towards the boundary. Hawthorn running out of space, knew where the help was, can't get it back there, and we've got a boundary throw in.
Staggeredly, when we looked at the record, the last 18 matches the Eagles have played here, they've only won 4, 3 times against the Demons and that Friday night last year against Richmond. They are poor numbers, however you look at them. A chance for Hill, wanted Prittis in the action early. Well, Redden just watched Nat Nui do his thing, streams through the MCG, delights all those but Hawthorn fans. Wide ball, couple of Eagles on the outer side. Lacroix is one, Cripps now short ball. Well, terrific start. McGovern, the older of the brothers, the younger terrific in Adelaide yesterday.
No, back where you were.
And now Jeremy's turn.
Back where
your
you
mind
were,
goes back to Darcy Moore's father, Peter Moore. He's the only other ruckman, Dennis, I've seen. He can run 40 metres with the ball and no one catches him. Natanui, that ability to take off and be a ball carrier.
Good trait to have.
Absolutely, but rare. Not too many got that.
Great look at it. Punt road end of the MCG. Never looked likely.
First score of the afternoon. For the highlight reel, Nick Natanui. Good hand pass too. There's Burgoyne. Steadfast throughout this run by the Hawks. What a good kick. Straight to Kennedy. Thumped away by Frawley just as well. Smith's got it. Birchall.
Isaac Smith. Right here, Mark. Right here, thank you.
Yeah, the umpire. This afternoon we've got a Gorman, Meredith and Ryan and Smith. Loves a run. Whoops. Comes back to Gibson. Has to line himself with his left foot.
Push! Downfield.
Downfield to Mitchell. It's sloppy by all, including the best. Mitchell into Jetta and the ball goes out of bounds.
Good sign for the Eagles. Hawthorn have made a couple of mistakes, which is rare for them. They certainly didn't make any 6 months ago on grand final day. So different day, different set of players.
McAvoy just slid in front of Natanui. Sirioli, a little slap forward. Hill wide to Prittis. Birchall, clever enough not to get into his back. Ended up with the football. Runs into a bit of trouble. Somehow Smith ends up with the footy but can't control it. So it's so interesting to see how the Hawks respond. Last time they lost consecutive rounds. It was on either side of a bye back in 2014. Last time they lost consecutive weekends all the way back rounds 4 and 5, 2012. Eagles to beat this afternoon. Smith at halfback works it into Puopolo's hands, works it into the middle of a magician's hands. Out of the acting skipper. Slides around in the middle and things grind to a halt.
Thanks, Matt.
They're on their way there, weren't they?
Yeah, this way.
As expected, guys, we'll see Frawley going to Kennedy.
Redden. Now Gibson. Well, fell at his feet. He found it again. Heard the voices. Burgoyne to Smith. Working inside. Mitchell feigns a hand pass. Now he goes back. This is Litherland. Down towards half forward. Good mark taken by Segler. Good to see him back. Missed the grand final last year. It was an emergency. High ball down towards full forward. Now Cyril is lurking to the front of the pack and well aware of that. Shuey taking no prisoners. Bumps it out of bounds. We'll have a boundary throw in.
Interesting decision by Shuey. He could have got two hands of the footy, but he's a bit nervous in that part of the ground, so he decided just to punch it and make sure.
Well, Segler helps McAvoy out. Natanui watches on. Sicily. Mackenzie's got him covered for now.
Coming back here. Watch your blocking.
Sicily, one of these 7 Hawks who didn't play against the Eagles in October last year. Shuey has a bit of support. Nelson, Prentice, last year's best and fairest winner, Gaff. Lysette did enough. Almost floated out of bounds alongside Litherland.
Jack, I'm watching, mate. There wasn't enough in that, but I am watching.
Lee, it looks on screen to be a perfect day, but as Sully alluded to, there is plenty of breeze down there.
Always, yeah. The flags are blowing. It's a big bowl, and the thing is, the breeze goes all over the place. It doesn't favour either end. It just tends to be fluctuating.
Acting skipper got things started. Ends up with the former skipper in Mitchell. Segler did well. Out it comes Litherland. Well, Mitchell ran out of space. I think everyone was waiting for the whistle. Eventually it arrives.
Sam Mitchell, what a player he's been. What a player he is. 4 times best and fairest. 3rd in the best and fairest. A close 3rd last season. Segler and Lysette. First thing they do is grab each other. Ball runs free at the back, taken by Hill. Gaff, all Australian as well last season as best and fairest. The tests he should have been. The side so close to the top of the table. Birchall, slick hands, gave it away. Gibson, O'Rourke through midfield, searching kick down towards full forward. Sicily launches from the back. Puopolo, did he have it? Nelson strips him of the football. Sicily picks it up. Hand passes over the top. McAvoy treads lightly, treads well, kicks well. Well, Sicily resisted the temptation of soccering it off the ground. That may have been a winner. The seas parted in front of him. He didn't do that, but he picked it up and gave it to a big fellow who still had a bit of work to do. And McAvoy did the work.
Amazing when you run the ball through the centre square as Hawthorn were able to do. It just doesn't allow the opposition defence to get settled.
Hawthorn's ball use has been, run and carry has been exceptional at the moment. Their handballs are up 22-7 going forward.
3 good decisions by Sicily. Kept his feet, didn't take it off the ground as Dennis alluded to, and then clever to handball over the top. Results in a Hawks goal, first of the afternoon. They lead by 5. Eagles through the middle, try and work it clear. Redden gets caught between Smith and Mitchell and then ends up on his back.
Looks like Redden's trying to get near Mitchell's body at these stoppages, and Mitchell's sort of going to an Eagles player just to make it a 2-on-1.
Pit crew working on Luke Bruce on the sideline. Blood on the jumper. Lysette, little give to Redden. Quickly to Prentice. Puopolo tackle, dislodged the footy. Somehow Prentice got it again. Redden very quickly back to Lysette. Now inside 50. Big fly from Kennedy. So outstanding last week. Quiet in the grand final. Scoreless, in fact. Gibson. Kennedy the tackler.
Thanks, guys.
With Adam Simpson in the lift coming up, Lee, after we were on the ground. I said, good luck this afternoon. Terrific last week. He said, very different ground and the best of oppositions.
O'Rourke had it momentarily. Mitchell grabs it, kicks it high to a contest. McAvoy in front, couldn't hang on. Langford, Segler. O'Rourke has been busy. Giray loops it over the top. Can they get through? Sicily stripped of the football. Bunnell went back to Hearn. Nelson goes across the ground to Gaff. Gaff with no one to kick to. Looks inside the centre square, nothing on.
Play on, not 15. Play on.
The umpire. Here's Butler pushing up to half-back. Goes back to Gaff. Gaff at right half-back then.
East-west.
And again, nothing down the line really, just numbers. Mainly Hawthorn in short. Hartung was the man, kicked directly to him. Howe goes to Birchall, back to Hartung. Good last week. Particularly in that 3rd term. Mitchell, another possession. Thumping kick inside the forward 50. Puopolo over the top. Nelson the crumb.
Might be coming back. There's a couple of Hawks in the right position. Mitchell is one of those. How often he's been in the right spot in his career.
Thanks, Josh.
Big swag of Brownlow votes again last year. Becomes the man with the most amount of Brownlow votes without winning it. Went past Lee Matthews, early 200s. Stratton, last man now for the Hawks. Back into the sunshine with that kick. A long wait for Hartung. Closing down was Duggan. Hartung did a good job, kept his feet. Birchall and he combined twice. Back to Hartung, back into the middle. Gibson's got a couple of free men. Well, O'Rourke screaming for it in the middle of the ground. Ignored. To half forward it goes. First man there is Gunston. Leads McKenzie to the ball. Schoenmakers quiet on Monday. Keen to make amends, you'd suggest. Gunston, he gets wrapped up. Gaff is the tackler.
West Coast are struggling with the swirling conditions down here. Their disposal efficiency by foot is going at 35%.
Being tested right now, these Eagles. Hawthorn looking good. Mitchell in particular, 8 possessions in this first, 7 minutes of playing time.
Yeah, Hawthorn keep occupying the places where Eagles want to kick the footy. That's part of the reason, I think, apart from the wind chill, I suspect they're zoning up the part of the ground forward of the Eagles really well in this early stages.
McAvoy tapped it down. Rolls out to Redden. Needs to be careful. Ball rolled loose. Duggan off the side of the boot. Litherland. Not a left footer. Straight up in the air. Gaff got a hand to it. Wonderful by Mitchell. Thumps it inside the forward 50. Hearn went to ground. Opportunity for Schoenmakers. Stripped. Sicily across towards Langford. Tough hombre. Hard to bring down. Gets a kick off. McKenzie goes back and takes the mark. Missed him last year, best and fairest 2 seasons ago. There's Mitchell feeling the effects in the thick of it.
So there's a few times early, haven't we, where the Eagles player's got the foot, he's looking, where do I go? Hawthorn just closing out the options.
Yeah.
Almost needs a magic 8 ball to help him with the decision. McKenzie picked out Gibson quickly to Hartung. Hartung kicking a half from home to the top of the square. Big fly Puopolo.
Unrealistic attempt. Advantage.
No such thing for Cyril.
Over the top it comes. Schofield to Lacroix, a long way from home. No one forward of the circles for the Eagles. They start to run. Lacroix has nothing obvious. Darling, Stratton, help from McAvoy. Sat on Darling's back for a long time, trickled to the ground. Prentice, can he work it through legs? Hartung, he knew what he was doing and closed his legs.
Mitchell's finding plenty of the ball already. He's up to 8 possessions, while Prentice has only had the 2.
Well, McAvoy, O'Rourke, kick impeded. Yo, great. Jamie Bennell, too slick for him, into the skipper's hands, and Langford stops the Eagles skipper in his tracks.
Some heavy punching there by Hearn. Nat Nui over the top. Rioli over the football. Nat Nui tries to back out. McAvoy's got him. Didn't convince the umpire. Nat Nui penalised. McAvoy then. Short one to centre half back and Smith. Litherland has gone out to the other side wing. I doubt he can kick that far. Smith shares that opinion, comes back and kicks a high ball. McAvoy too easy over the top of Lacroix. Close quarters Rioli. The run comes from Burgoyne. Goes down towards the pocket. Too tall for Gunston. Backing him up Puopolo. Beats one Puopolo. Dangerous here. Just misses, hit the post. So just misses. It just came back late, but not enough for the little man.
Go closer.
Originally, Hawthorn just looked a little fumbly the first few minutes, but they persevered their way through that. Now they're handling the ball more cleanly, and it's the Eagles who are looking very stop-start.
Driving ball into the middle of the ground. Natanui almost. Howe, Frawley, the Hawks through the middle combined. Duray thought about kicking the football, thought better of it. Ends up with Gibson. Long ball again. This is going to fall short, so it's all up to Gunston now. And he worked it all out pretty quickly. Read it well in the air. Better than Hearn. Now it's all about the finish.
70 possessions to 34 Hawthorn's way, and they're going at 55%.
Perfect. Time back on. I'll call it. Do not play on early. I'll call it. Wait.
4 years as a Hawk, 4 grand finals, 3 premierships, and a bootload of goals. There's another one. Hawks get their second. Well, if you're ever going to move from a club and end up with another, Jack Gunston pretty much nailed it. 5th year, and every year he's been in the brown and gold, he's played the last game of the season.
Got to say that Adelaide are pretty resilient, though. They've kicked on, really, haven't they? They've lost a few.
Recruited a few in to replace the few they've lost. They've done it really well. I think he's going to kick this 9 times out of 10. You come in 5 metres, he kicks the ball around his body. Just
Here we go.
they're coming off a fairly easy win last week, the Eagles, but they haven't been ready for the pressure that Hawthorn have put into the game early.
And then we got high, knocked it down. Tied up immediately is Redden, and the umpire will do it again.
There's always an element of that. I mean, 25 goals to 15, 40 goals in their game against the Lions, but much close quarter game today.
For sure. Matt Nui out of the middle. Lunging attempt at the mark by Stratton. Feeds it away to Birchall. He's stripped from behind. The umpire says he dropped it. Well, that's fair enough. Incorrect disposal. May have been Duggan's hand that knocked the ball down. Quiet word from Birchall.
Another 3 metres.
This becomes a critical goal, not only for the 6 points, but the kind of the momentum and the confidence that the Eagles get by actually getting a goal on the scoreboard. They've been dried up for the first 14 minutes. It's critical that Duggan nails it.
Young left footer, and he comes. Well, it's coming back, but it won't come back that much. An indication of the breeze. He miskicked it, and it did work left to right. So the West Coast Eagles haven't been forward too often. They've got to take their chances. Frawley, nicely done. Got it from Lewis. No attention to the mark. So Howe strolls away, hesitates. Butler moved off him. As a result, the kick comes up towards the wing. Shepherd, well done. Knocked it down to Redden. Shuey, guess who? Beep, beep.
Hey, Sean, settle down.
There may never have been a more exciting tackler in the history of the game.
He's so quick, and everyone's quick running towards goal, but he's quick running back to tackle as well.
And so often everyone can see what's about to happen other than the man with the ball. Langford, again, looks long. Sicily, not quite in the end. A floating hill knocks the ball over.
I reckon he must take a deep breath and suck it in about 20 metres from his target and not breathe again.
Stealth.
They don't hear him. That's why they're stealth bomber.
Run softly.
Or a stealth hawk.
Lewis, the skipper today, somehow got it back out to Mitchell onto his left. A chance, front spot, Sicily, not quite. Recovery outstanding. Still a chance. McGovern fighting desperately against him. Support comes from the Eagles. Still the ball's a chance to get out, and does now. Well, last tackle's a good one. Butler held the ball in. Lewis' responsibility of captaining the Hawks in Luke Hodges' absence.
18 Sealer.
Segler, one of these Hawks that's still searching for a premiership. He's played so much footy in the last couple of years. The hard luck story
coming on
in both.
It's a bit of claret coming out of his eyes. He's come off. Hawthorn seem to be controlling the play by their uncontested possession. Is that 54-19? Remarkable stat this early in the game.
And some of that hand passing inside is very sharp. It's quite outstanding today.
Okay, 1 metre.
They're on, at least for the moment. McAvoy too easily hooks it down towards the goal square. Redden, tackled by Langford. She's a hard worker, Langford. There's Segler. Sometimes you get more notoriety if you miss the big game. Knocked down by Nat Nui. Shuey, Jetta running out of space. Just gets it inside the 50 still. It was a dangerous kick, worked out okay. Duggan snatched it away from Mitchell, then miscues and kicks it directly to Burgoyne. Man on in the middle, Gibson. Runner alongside Mitchell, tells him to hold on. And then he kicks it out wide, having obeyed the instructions, and finds Howe. Howe looks out wide once more. They've changed the angle dramatically to the other side of the ground. This is Brust. He's about 80 metres from goal. Takes something off this one. Rioli climbs. But his hands to it, couldn't take the mark. McKenzie across to Jetta.
Being held. Here, downfield here. Right here. Put it out.
Well, you heard all of that. So Jetta, in his first game as an Eagle after 127 with the Swans, goes looking for a man that's just playing, well, his first of the year. He's just played a handful. And Howe, Birchall ends up with the ball again. Thumping kick to full forward. Sicily! The youngster plucks and gets a chance to get the Hawks third and his first of the afternoon.
The long kick in, and the Eagles defenders just caught. under the ball. A fraction. Sicily had the run and the jump. Timed it beautifully. Just the knee enough to create the space.
Long kick from the middle of the MCG to Sicily. Birchall, a long kicker. Sicily, not quite.
Oh, they're getting one off the hook here, the West Coast Eagles.
I think you're right, aren't you, Dennis? They're 20 minutes into the quarter. Hawthorn have dominated the game, but they've only had 4 scoring shots still. So, in a sense, the Eagles have hung in there and not let the scoreboard get away from them.
Alistair talking about bad luck as the kick comes in from McGovern, taken by Shepherd. Out wide, Cripps hugs the boundary line, but has a man right with Kennedy. It's going to be a free kick to the man who was in front. That is Kennedy, but not sure about the pass. It had to be perfect. It wasn't that, but it worked out okay because Kennedy interfered with from behind. Now he pulls it back towards the middle. Butler. They need to run at Hawthorn. Comes across the ground, closing down. Look at that speed from Puopolo. Knocked it away from McKenzie. Now McKenzie, the taller man, is really going to be found out here. Puopolo takes him on. McKenzie did well enough. Rioli back to Puopolo. Poor hand pass. Goes out of bounds.
He sneaked off the interchange, Brent Puopolo, and the ball hung in the air, and that was almost a turnover that had created a goal for Hawthorn.
Hawthorn by 2 straight kicks, 2-2 to a couple of behinds. Chance for Prittis, got beaten to the ball by Hartung. The youngster from Mornington did well, kept it in. Another driving ball forward for the Hawks. McGovern sits underneath it all, got a fist to it. Mitchell has to wait. Ball, well, it was unkind in the end. Cripps picks it up. Now it's Yo. Yo goes back with the flight of the ball. Got Litherland with him. Litherland will breathe a sigh of relief. Not a lot for Nick Nat to kick 2 in the end.
No, they've had no forward line structure at all, the Eagles. They're just getting their men back into the back half to make it hard for Hawthorn to score. They succeeded in that, but no one to go to on the way forward.
Redden, third man, picked out Mitchell. Now a nest of Hawks in the middle of the MCG. Lewis, Hartung, going back Bruce. Well, bouncing ball. How was it settled? McKenzie, taller man, got a bit lucky. Another minus score only, margin out to 13. Hawthorn completely dominating the Eagles. Still just a 2-goal game.
94 possessions to 48.
Gotta wait for the call. Okay, move it on.
McGovern. High ball outside the 50. Punch forward by Segler, only as far as Shuey. No one to give to initially. Eventually, Redden moved for him. Same problem. Cramped kick, bounces up towards the wing, taken by Gibson. Sly. Burgoyne, Stratton, bit of a fumble from Smith. Gibson, so much of the football. He's in the double figures as well. And how's the finish to Bruce? They're putting on a clinic.
You're on the mark. You're on the mark.
Luke Bruce. He'll take his best from here. Man on the mark is a couple of metres outside the 50. 2 goals last Monday, 52 last season. This kick is offline from the get-go and through for another minor score.
14 inside 50s for 2 goals. So in terms of defence, the Eagles have done it really well. So it's part of the game. When the momentum changes, if they can get the bit of energy into the game, they've done well early.
Kennedy. Well, almost but not quite. Gibson fights with Kennedy. Ball gets shuffled out towards the wing. Nelson gets beaten to it by Bruce. He slides through a couple of Eagles. Now to Frawley, happy to retreat to Giray.
On the line. Thank you. That's it.
Well, still in the part of the ground with sunshine. Back to Frawley. No Brian Lake. The big forwards fall to Frawley on a weekly basis. Well, big fly from Schoenmakers, not quite. Recovery pretty good. Went low with the handball. Langford swooped, picked up the ball. Low now to Cyril. And this has been an outstanding first quarter from Hawthorn, who are supposed to be wounded.
Yes, they are wounded, but they've still got 15 of their really good soldiers who are... and the fill-ins or top-ups are doing pretty well anyway, but Rioli finding himself on the loose inside the forward 50 against the Eagles is their nightmare.
Talk about containing Prittis. Good luck containing Cyril. Hawks have got 3. Cyril's got his first. You always measure a sportsman by his name. If you can call a player just by his first name and he's instantly recognisable, he's had a good career.
Not so good if you're chubby.
Cyril, well, he is on the board already. A couple of kicks, 1 straight, 5 disposals, and a terrific tackle in the middle of the ground.
Coming straight back.
Find the hole, kick the goal. He's starting up more in midfield than he early in the game, so he's got a bit of the ball, as he always does, but not so much forward until that point.
Running down to quarter time, Nat Nui. Gibson didn't have the footy. He'll get a free kick. Coming up to his 12th possession, Gibson. Slays it off. Mitchell. He's at 12 now as well. Giray. Forward of the wing. Not a particularly good kick. It wanders to the pocket. 3 Eagles there. Over the top, McGovern. Shepherd in trouble. Schoenmakers did nicely. Threaded the hand pass. Buopolo. Sicily. Over the head of Giray. Putting the body in is Kennedy. Comes back to Sicily. Couldn't believe the space. Now he gets it to Smith. And Smith spears the ball across to Gibson. Just wanders off at his left foot and finds Mitchell. Lax marking by Nat Nui. Although Sam makes it difficult because he's adroit with both feet. Was a left footer, I think, to start with. Here's Sicily. Not sure that benefits the team too much. He's on the boundary and he's a left footer.
Thank you. Max right here.
I think.
He's right on it. You take another step. Play on!
He goes around. He gives it a hook, and that's magnificent. I reckon he's a right footer. I see him kick left. He's very good right. Okay, he's ambidextrous.
Well, it's like weight of field position, really. Hawthorn have just dominated field position. They've just played the game in their forward half. Took them a while to get the scoreboard running, but they've now got their 4-goal lead from 17 inside 50s. Normally from 17 inside 50s, Hawthorn will kick 7 or 8 goals. But they're starting to open it up now.
This way.
It's good execution. Again, you can't crowd the mark from outside, so you can come in your 5 metres. Still takes beautiful ball control to curl it like that.
Sicily, 3 games last year, his second of 2016. One of these players would be trying to impress Alistair Clarkson and just cement himself in a team that is trying to do what no side in the AFL has done before. Gibson again to half forward. This time McGovern flies.
Getting out of here for Eagles has been impossible, though. And again, slow. Look. Kick the ball to a contest.
Yeah.
Natanui in the middle of that contest, knocks it down to ground. Somehow Yo, completely off balance, gave it to Kennedy. He goes looking for Darling. Stratton, sweeping handball. Gibson, Burgoyne. Always seemingly a man in control. Burgoyne looked for Smith, closing late. I think it was Butler. Ends up with the football. Hard against the boundary line. High up and under again. Gibson again. Long wait. Crashing into the pack. Darling got involved. Gibson ended up with the football. Back it comes to Gunston. On his left. Did enough. Keeps it in play. Now skips over. What a first term it's been. 27 minutes old. And it is Hawthorn by 26 points.
Talk about a half back line. Gibson has had 8 kicks, 8 handballs. So every time the ball comes back to that part of the ground, it just bounces out again.
When the Eagles get it across centre, there is no long target. They're all short and generally outnumbered. Quite amazing. Hawthorn seem to be everywhere.
Lee, when you talk about those half-backs, when Gibbo and Birchall are getting that much of the football, they're so hard to beat. Their drive and penetration with the ball is almost unstoppable.
Yeah, make good decisions, good execution, don't they?
Yo trying to get out of there. Going nowhere. Holding the ball as the call. It was certainly wrapped in.
Sam Mitchell, your free kick.
Under a minute remaining in this opening term, and quite often a team hangs on and hangs on. We've seen that, I think, in the last couple of minutes. They can see quarter time. They're 3 minutes out, like the Eagles. And then late goals, really exact full toll. Here's Mitchell. We're down to 37. He kicks it down a half forward. Up was McAvoy. Falls to Bruce, and he's away. Danger now. He's in the clear. Sends it long down towards Sicily. That's a poor kick. Out of bounds on the full. So I would suggest it's going to be hard for even Hawthorn to score before quarter time, provided they can find one target here. It's going to be Shepherd. The beleaguered defence. The West Coast Eagles have been hammered in this first term. Still not far away. 26 points is a great result. Here's Kennedy, picked up by Segler, taken down as Duray, picked up by Pritis. Gaff, high ball in front. Darling, hands to it. Flew with two. Gibson, the master of the look-away hand pass, taking a full revolution. Gunston did well. Nice pick up the Nell. Shuey. Here's Pritis again on the wing, but time will beat both sides. Warm applause. People who know their footy have seen a powerhouse performance by Hawthorn. Maybe not 4-4. It was better than that. They lead by 26 on a Sunday afternoon at the MCG. It's the grand final rematch.
Show me what you do now. We don't have to go out. Welcome to my house.
Well, James Sicily, the 21-year-old, fifth game this afternoon. What an extraordinary goal. Hard up against the boundary line. Made it look all pretty easy. One of these young Hawks trying to make an impact, and it's 4-4-28. West Coast Eagles 2 minor scores only. Kennedy now has gone 5 quarters, Lee, without a score against these Hawks on this ground.
Yeah, well, in the area where you think they might dominate the Eagles is in the hit-outs and the clearances. Doing all right in the hit-out, for the clearances, Hawthorn dominating. 13-6 up. And Mitchell, 14 disposals and 5 clearances. That's a fair game for a midfielder. Pritis, his counterpart, he's had to touch the ball half a dozen times, only 1 clearance. So in that influence, not playing on each other per se, but in terms of influence, Mitchell mile in front.
Let's go down to Brad Sewell with Cameron Bruce.
Brucey, fantastic start there. You must be happy with that.
Yeah, definitely a good start. But with all quality sides, we know they're going to be coming back.
Yeah, Midge, you controlled the ball, but didn't get the reward inside 50 that you'd like.
Yeah, well, the first thing is we can start controlling the ball, so hopefully the scoreboard pressure will eventuate.
Yep. And what was the message to the boys just then?
We just be prepared for them to come at us.
Thanks, mate.
Brad Sewell, Cameron Bruce on the boundary. The West Coast Eagles in that first term on the ropes, but still plenty of time, and the margin just 26 points. Josh Gibson is on pace for a 68. He's had 17 possessions in the first quarter. Now in golf, that's low. In footy, different kettle of fish altogether.
Yeah, their forwards got right up the field, the Eagles, to try and stop Hawthorn scoring, but basically there was no one on the way out, and the repeat entries off the Hawthorn half-back line, they dominated there.
Second term of the MCG then. Bounce favours Naitanui, taps it down. Pritis in trouble. Forced to kick with his right. Kennedy flicks it on. Well done, Duray. Confidence came of that football. Really determined. Bounces it out to Rioli. Rioli goes down towards half forward on the stretch. Gunston breaking for space. Puopolo. Sicily wants it long. Schoenmakers wants it longer. Too many options. Gunston confused. Drives it down towards full forward chance here. 2-on-1. Falls in front of the pack. After it, McKenzie. Diving in Puopolo, and will get a ball up.
Nah, he's allowed to hold his ground. Thank you. Straight back here.
McAvoy, Naitanui just knocked it down. Had a man right there, Shuey. He's got a couple of problems. One is Puopolo, the other Langford. What a message this has sent to the competition. Just a quarter old this game, but Hawthorn there after a couple of acidic articles during the week, going nowhere. Spoke about consecutive losses, consecutive rounds. Well, back in 2012, round 4 and 5. This is a group that doesn't stay down for too long. Took Geelong's very best to beat them on Monday. Here we are on Sunday, and they've got the Eagles right where they want them. Lacroix, half-back, smothered ball. Gibson again getting involved. Gunston back to Gibson. Threads it through. O'Rourke, a fumble. Good enough to get it to Gunston. Good enough to keep it in Gunston. Back to O'Rourke. Now a chance for the Hawthorn forwards. Going back, Yo. This is a chance. How does it settle? Smith, yep. He's going to get back onto his left. Fires it. A chance for Sicily. Has one. Looks for two. Tackle is on. Ball dislodged. Kennedy now. He's playing the defensive role. Back it goes. Hearn. Stolen. Sicily. Yep. He's got 2. Hawks have got 5. And suddenly the champs look like the champs.
Well, they had one reprieve there. They were let off the hook, and they could get it out, and eventually paid the price.
Yes, he looked up Kennedy, had no one to go to. That's the problem. They're getting so many players in their back 50 to protect their defence, the Eagles. They've just got no one to go to on the way out. And that's where they created the turnover in the Sicily goal. Have a look, he looked up Josh Kennedy, no one to go to upfield, so he had to try and maintain position. Then they fumbled it, and Sicily was the one who kicked the goal. But they're putting so far back, no one to go to up forward.
Nat Nui, brilliantly done. Need to win it in the centre. Shuey goes forward. Now they've got some set forwards. Down goes Cripps. And they get a stoppage. So this is a step in the right direction. That centre square is so important. Lose there, and the Eagles are really on the ropes. Nat Nui, McAvoy has done well. Works in front, but Nat Nui wins it down. Stolen by Rioli, and that's holding the footy. Doesn't happen too often either, but he's caught, especially by a lumbering player like Josh Kennedy.
Does get after him at ground level, Kennedy. He's obviously a key position player, but he does get after him at ground level and lay the odd tackle again. Same as thing we said about Duggan before. They just need to get on the scoreboard for have any chance in this game. They've just got to start stemming this Hawthorn onslaught.
And the pressure's on the kick because he knows it's a big kick. He's worked it nicely. It's coming back right to left. Josh Kennedy delivers the first goal for the West Coast Eagles.
Can't say how much that relieves the pressure for Eagles. They're still 4 goals behind on the scoreboard, but just to get the first goal on the board, they've just had a really bad first 35 minutes of football. So to get the first goal at least relieves that little bit of pressure, just gives a little bit of a lift to the emotional state. So let's see if they can build on that and reverse the trend of the game. Here we go, just the one step, then illegal handball. So good tackle. There's a good get by the Eagles to lock the ball in, but all came from the centre bounce clearance.
Up they go again. Natanui and Segler this time. Segler becomes the rover. Mitchell, hurried kick forward. Terrific take from Bruce. Now to Lewis, now to Hawthorn. Quickly out to the wing. Birchall on his right side, which is his left. Gunston caught behind. Schofield in the right spot. Langford read it well off hands. Lewis pulls it to the top of the square. Who's at home? Josh Hill for the Eagles. Defends well.
Yours.
Loose man now sends it to the wing. Darling flies. Gibson again involved in the football. Hawthorn. Lewis, little slap, clever. Gibson. Well, 68, I think you said, Dan. He might be going around that in a moment. Langford. Now ridden into the ground. Duray. Just going back to Kennedy. Someone will ask him one day, might be his grandchild, how was your career? Not bad. Won the Coleman, leading goal scorer, and caught Cyril once with the football in his hands.
Holding the ball, Cryer.
Heard the umpire, Lacroix, continues on. Cripps, well, out-muscled and out-thought by Stratton.
That was a good mark. Clever. In short. Smith. Litherland. Awkward half volley. Need to be careful here. Back to Smith. Goes with the right peg. Frawley. Martin comes at him. This is the target. Bruce actually was the one he chose in the end. But Bruce well wide of the mark there, or the kick more particularly. Hill, Darling, and he's taken the mark in virtually the same spot that Kennedy scored from a couple of moments ago.
Yeah, it's amazing how with the one goal they've been struggling, the Eagles, but they kicked one goal and all of a sudden the emotional lift and everything changes, and all of a sudden they've started to look like they're in the game the last minute since that goal. So again, same principle. They can't mess around on the scoreboard. They've got to be able to score from their chances because they've got a fair margin to make up.
We know it goes right to left here. And that's a lovely kick. It was lower than Kennedy's, wasn't as wind affected, but most important goal. 35 plays 14. Possession running at 157 to 74. Given that imbalance, the West Coast Eagles would be happy with their situation.
And that's his first kick, Darling. That's amazing. You're struggling, you're not getting your hands on the ball, you get a shot, kick a goal. It's a turnover that created the opportunity for the ball to come back to Darling, but really they've got a little bit of energy in their game all of a sudden with the couple of goals, the Eagles. This next phase of the game will be really, really critical.
Well, your point is well made, Lee. So Darling's first kick and a goal. Kennedy, just 3 kicks and a goal. So when they get it into their hands...
They're feeling much better about themselves than they were 2 minutes ago.
Lysette, long ball. Who's at home? Well, McGovern in between a few. Jamie Bennell watches on. Quick bounce, but Hawthorn managed it well. O'Rourke, Gibson again. Now to Langford. Butler. Well, back used his body well, pushed Langford out of the contest and ends up with a football. Premiership player for the Eagles. Butler would love to be one again. Not quite for Kennedy. Hill was good. Prentice, here's a chance. Redden, check side. Would you believe it? They've got 3 in a row. Back to 15 points. And how, in 4 minutes, the game has changed. Kennedy, Darling, Redden.
Yes, call it run of the play, momentum. There's a whole lot of terminology for the changing state that happens within a game of footy, and it's just a moment that can change the whole attitude and the whole perspective. And once Kennedy kicked that goal, then the Eagles, now the game is evenly paused again.
Cameron Bruce told us they expected West Coast to come back hard, and they certainly have. They've put a spare behind the play, which has allowed them to compose the ball, and they've made the most of opportunities going forward, which is what Hawthorn didn't do in that first quarter.
They're starting here, though, getting it out of the centre square. And if they can do that at these centre bounces, then suddenly the forward line is more conventional. Rucks go at it again. Lysette hooks it down. Mitchell is going to get a free kick. It's against Redden.
It really is such a momentum game down here, isn't it?
Yeah. Hawthorn outstanding in the first term. Being tested now. Mitchell comes out wide. Lovely kick. And the quarterback to a wide receiver in the NFL. Burgoyne running. It's coming over his shoulder. High ball down towards full forward. McKenzie. That was a good mark. Looking into the sun. He knew they were coming from all directions, but Eric held on. Sends it back towards the wing. Birchall. What a fine player. Goes up, takes the mark. Wasn't tested there. Comes back towards the middle. Stratton. Short one is on Howe. Howe alongside the centre circles. Just pops it out to the outer side wing and Frawley. And Frawley goes into the bright sunshine and finds Segler. Segler, well, he was looking away from the sunshine, dropped the mark, gives it to Hawthorn.
Short ball is on, hugs the boundary line. Gunston. 2 good kicks from goal. Gunston, he's looking at a congested forward 50. Eagles get back in numbers. Hawks have got some tall timber. McAvoy, Sicily. Well, in the end, Sicily. Not sure how he ended up effectively taking an uncontested mark, but he was slightly to the left of, it was Lysette who missed the ball in the air, and Sicily can go back and try and kick his third.
That was a good effort, wasn't he? He watched the balls and have Schofield let him go. Certainly Lysette was the big body up there trying to spoil, but Sicily, that was a great grab.
It's funny, Sicily's one of those type of players that just bobs up and does these types of things. You're not quite sure how.
Spring Hill Jack's got 3. Last of the first, 2 in the second.
All with his right foot too. Hasn't he shown me up?
Well, he was in a way the replacement with Jared Ruffhead being out for a while. Different type of player, clearly, but he's the kind of forward that probably, if Ruffhead was available, might be struggling to be in the team. But he's kicked 3 goals today, so he's certainly earned his spot. He's finished well, hasn't he? I mean, the big pack mark, they're hard take fit 20 metres from goal, but when he's had a chance to finish and score, he has.
Nice settling goal too. Margin back out to 21. On the way down, Nat Nui. Stolen though by Burgoyne. McAvoy gave it to Puopolo. Duray kicks it out towards the wing. Awkward high bounce. Langford, aided by a good shepherd from Lewis. Backs off. Nelson grabs him. Affected the kick. Now it's in the forward half of the West Coast Eagles. Darling's got it. Long ball. Headed down towards Hill. Hill had it knocked away by Litherland. Still a duel here. Hill paddles it around the boundary. Made it Lacroix's problem. He couldn't do anything with it. And we'll get a boundary throw in.
Fantastic play by Lithuania there to run back, Lee, as you're saying, with the fly of the ball and just bring it to ground. He was out of position the whole way.
Another one of these Hawks youngsters coming in, playing their role. McAvoy, Lysett, ends up with Shuey. Had it only momentarily, lost it, got it again, worked his way away from a couple of Hawks. Kick, well, ricochets back to Langford. And now a tricky ball. Eric McKenzie has to wait for it to settle. Does, runs into trouble. That was Segler. Did well. Jackson Nelson. Kick was intended for someone else. Not sure whether Lewis Jetta knew that. O'Rourke, Gibson finds a runner in Mitchell. Through traffic he goes. Bruce, nothing ahead of him. Smith gets on his bike. Bruce, lateral to the outer side. Into the sunshine. Gunston and Yo. In the end, Puopolo. Second Hawk to the ball. Gets away from Kennedy. Now to Gunston. Inside 50. Well, it deserved a goal. It was slick movement. Minor score only. 22 points the margin.
I don't think there's another forward in the competition that works as hard as Gunston. Jack Gunston just runs hard, the length of the ground quite often, helps out the defenders, comes charging through the midfield. Here's Butler kicking it in. McGovern's in front. Segler from behind knocks it down. Chance for Gaff. Paddles it towards the boundary. Burgoyne in his hip pocket. Well done, Gaff. Got it across to Shepherd. Kicks it up towards the wing. Gibson coming up for his 21st possession. Can't count that. Stratton heads for the boundary. Still in. Well done by Lacroix, but the umpire says held to him. So he'll throw it up right beside the boundary line. Nat Nui and McAvoy. McAvoy's held his own, not that time. Nat Nui knocked it down. McAvoy straight to Howe in the grasp of Darling, going nowhere.
Up now.
You talk about a team performance, Den and Lee. 20 of the Hawks have had it 5 times or more. Just 5 of the Eagles 5 times or more. Even output from Hawthorn at the moment. Burgoyne, he's one of those players that continues to find the football. O'Rourke went looking, ricocheted into Gaff's hands, came off Lacroix's. Now Nelson, left boot, 2 half forward, big fly out the back hill, not quite, crashing through Kennedy. Stratton, as Kennedy left it behind, had time to jump on top of the football, got wrapped up, rolled over. You hear the umpire's whistle.
Yeah, it's one of those days where the hit-outs aren't equating to a clearance. As Nat Nui is certainly getting his hand on the ball at these hit-outs, but Hawthorn tend to be sharking it, reading his hits, not taking it away.
Shuey, not quite for Howe. Lewis, hands and knees. Shuey gets the football again. To manoeuvre out of 3 Eagles who put the tackle on.
Those clearances and possessions are far cry last week, Lee, from Hawthorn. Carlton, Geelong just pants them in that area.
Neither ruckman touched the footy on the way down. O'Rourke, hot potato there for Birchall. Had it momentarily. Cripps is in trouble. Another ball up. So this has been a gutsy effort by the West Coast Eagles, and as much as they've just solidified here. Need a goal, obviously. Nat Nui starting to take control in there a little bit. Darling finds a way through, slips it away. Cripps a bit of a fumble. Now he's out. Cripps, well, he had more time than he knew, and he's missed to the right-hand side. 6-6-3-3. So those figures for uncontested possession a moment ago. What an imbalance. Birchall short. There's another one. Litherland. Knew that Shepherd was coming. Well worked. Strides around the outer side. A high ball. Hangs a long time in the air. Schoenmakers had it punched away. Gunston again. Working double time. Schoenmakers. Helped by his left side. Comes back to the middle. Another left footer gets it off. That's Smith. Hartung in trouble. Back to Smith. Now breaking through is Giray. Well, that was pinpoint. May have just been touched by Nelson. That was enough. Now a chance for Rioli. Run down from behind. Well done, Yo. Hand pass from Giray. Taken by Burgoyne. Comes to Gibson. Gibson fires the pass in. Oh, and that's the killer blow.
One of the things that Hawthorn do better than anyone they have for a few years is finding the right target in the right position inside their 50-metre arc. He only just had a glimpse there. They gave it out to Gibson, so he had just that moment of space. He saw Lewis dropping into the hole and delivered it beautifully.
10 minutes from half-time. Gibson has 22 possessions now. Gary Ablett, the last man to get 50 against Collingwood in 2012. Meantime, Lewis steers it through thanks to Gibson's good earlier work.
A couple of their generals. I reckon Hawthorn have got about 7 of what I call the on-field generals. Roughead, Hodge, well, they're not there today, but you've still got Birchall and Mitchell and Burgoyne and Lewis, and of course Gibson. I mean, he's just been outstanding since he came across from Kangaroos a few years back. He completely controls that half-back line, and today it's probably the best half of footy I've seen him play.
And Lee, you talk about the leaders. Jordan Lewis has been to Luke Hodge what Tom Hagen was to Don Corleone for so many years.
Yeah, that's right.
Dependable, reliable, sort of right-hand man. But for now, in the absence of Hodge, he is the man. What a goal. Back to 27 points. Eagles desperate for something now. Long ball again. Darling not quite. Stratton, who's been terrific so far this afternoon, gets a little bit of support from Grant Birchall.
Let him up. Thanks, guys. Block here.
Hawthorn have an extraordinary ability to be able to solve problems. Men down against an informed side at the moment, doing it beautifully. 27 points to the good. From half-back they come. Smith, McKenzie, well done, went back with the fight. Puopolo and Segler. Just watch McKenzie do his work. Nat Nui behind McAvoy. Not quite. Lacroix, little give. Well, intercepted by Giray. Read it well. Perfect to Mitchell. Mitchell to the outer side. Bouncing ball. Now the run. Jett will have the pace. Bruce watches on. Quick take. Terrific tackle. Little handball.
The umpire, I think, thinking that Jetta must have lost his bearings. Here's Brittis, dragged down. That's holding the footy. Hawthorn get it anyway. Segler, anxious to give. Burgoyne, close to the boundary. Sends a high ball down towards full forward. Puopolo, well, missed his step. Into the back of McKenzie, plays on quickly to Butler. Butler comes to the opposite pocket, takes a bounce. Hearn's got a problem now. He took a wide detour just to accentuate the fact he was out of bounds, and we'll have a throw in.
Yeah, I think he was happy to concede the out of bounds. He looked up, there was no one to go to. They really locked the ball in their forward line really well, Hawthorn. The number of times an Eagles player gets the ball in that back 50, but just nowhere to go.
Margin was 26 at quarter time. It's now 27.
Eagles did get it back to 15 after the Redden goal. Segler, second crack at it, now a third. So Sicily got the first of the term, then 3 to the Eagles. Kennedy, Darling, Redden, Sicily and Lewis have kicked the last 2 for Hawthorn. McAvoy to space. Shuey couldn't find his boot. Langford, so brilliant in September a couple of years ago, missed out last year on the last game of the season. Played each game so far this year. Burgoyne, a rare luxury, time and space. Kick inside, well, caught out momentarily. Bruce in the right spot. Gaff, Cyril again. Segler an opportunity. Langford, can he bust his way through? Well, he could, but he couldn't finish.
Just the way the Eagles are setting up, they are getting that many players into their back 50 when Hawthorn have got a stoppage or boundary throw in there, but it just keeps bouncing back because they've just got no one to get it to on the way out. So keeping their forwards a little bit forward of the footy, or a couple of them at least, might be something they're going to have to adjust.
Hearn drives one up towards the wing. Oh, great pack mark by Kennedy. The Coleman medalist getting high there. Could have started the Revenant. Just a little chip out wide. Gaff takes the mark. That'll do Kennedy's confidence the world of good, though. Powerful. Gaff, by his lofty standards, quiet. His kicking skills not on show there. Normally he's very good. Mitchell got it out of the pack. And Giray tracks it towards the boundary line. So boundary throw in. Approaching half-time. That man, a lot to think about. What a season he had last year, though. Lifting the Eagles to the grand final. Segler decisively over the top. Shuey confronted, put down Shuey. Stepping through and doing pretty well was Lysette. Kennedy goes with the left. Down towards full forward, but the sliding mark is taken by Gibson, who's anxious to give it off. Hartung goes across the ground, and now it's Burgoyne.
Gibson now up to 23. Burgoyne, well, into the sunshine. Puopolo, no problem at all. Couple of leading forwards. Rioli gets back. Bruce. Rioli almost. Big fly. Not quite able to put hand to ball. Chance for O'Rourke. Little flick. Brilliant to Bruce. Always a good user. Now again, Segler, the tall target, just works his way back in front. And Jonathan Segler missed last week. First game of the year. Segler can go back and kick his first goal.
Because West Coast allowing so many spares for Hawthorn behind the ball, it allows them to transfer that play so easily. And then their spares catch up, and there's finding forwards and men spare throughout the play at the moment.
Yeah, they're so keen to get numbers into the back 50 to try and outnumber the Hawthorn deep in there, isn't it? It just looks like the brick wall's being set up behind the play, Sylvie.
Yeah, it really is. And because West Coast aren't winning the ball in tight, it's just spitting it back out to Hawthorn.
That's a bad miss.
Kick through the ball, says the coach. So Hearn to bring it in. Margin 29 points. Eagles hanging around, Shuey in front. So not looking all that convincing, but the margin not that great, not insurmountable. That's a good kick along the boundary. Kennedy feeling it a bit now. Goes inboard. Shepherd. Shuey proceeds up the ground. Hearn. Man on the outer side ignored. Long kick inside the forward 50. Well, that's a beauty. It was very interesting. Cripps has taken the mark. And to the left of that action, Schofield was admonishing the kicker.
Perfect.
You see him in the background there. He wasn't happy not getting the football, but all's well that ends well.
Yeah, bring the ball from outside into the centre square is the first kick from Kennedy. They've been forced to kick down the line to a contest, the Eagles, but they got that one back inside, and when Hearn had a bit of space around the centre circle, he'll usually set up a forward.
Jenny Cripps then across the numbers. Kick is on the way. You doubt it will come back from there, given what we've seen in the minor score.
Anything under 20 points, Lee, you think the Eagles have got off lightly, given the weight of numbers favouring Hawthorn. 215 possessions to 111 in this almost first half of football. It has been Hawthorn playing breathtaking footy at times, but terrific footy considering the personnel they've got watching on. That would have brought it back to 23 points. Margin now 28 after the miss from Cripps. Isaac Smith springing. Prittis roving. Giray, brilliant to Birchall. Knocked it down. If he saw him, it was very skillful stuff. Frawley halfback over the top to Litherland. Gets back inside. Handball. Bouncing ball. Tough for Hartung. Kennedy. Where's the ball? Goes and finds it. Birchall. Little tackle chance for Howe. He's got caught. So now another chance for the Eagles. One of the longest kicks in the game. Maybe too far even for Shannon Hearn. He's contemplating it. The breeze is swirly. He thinks better of it. Goes short to a neat kick of the football. Redden
on the red line
already has one for the afternoon. The Eagles' third was kicked by Redden. Kennedy and Darling the first two. Now long ball from McGovern. Everything. McGovern from a long way downtown. And suddenly we're back to 22 points. His brother kicked a couple yesterday for the Crows. Jeremy now. Well, hard to know where his best position is on the ground. Played all over for the Eagles last year because it's necessary for him to do so. 22 points. The next would bring it under 3 goals. And given all we've seen, I reckon Alistair Clarkson would be disappointed. Adam Simpson relieved.
I think that's knowing your ability. I don't think Redden's got a 60-metre kick in him. I don't think that's a long kick. But McGovern, particularly when you don't have to kick over the man on the mark, was able to lob it beautifully from long range.
Hawks will know next time, won't they? Prittis on his knees. Like I said, he's worked hard. He's been throwing his weight around. He's taken down. Just over 2.5 minutes remaining to half-time. The imbalance in possession is quite remarkable. 103 possessions more for Hawthorn to half-time. Duggan gets a possession for the West Coast Eagles towards half-forward. Shuey held early, gives it to Cripps. Cripps still going. Back to goal. Rioli bearing down. Hurried kick. It bounces one way, then the other. LaCroix did well. Got it to Kennedy. Hill. Oh! Panic had more time than he knew.
Yeah, he panicked. He kicked the ball off the ground when he had the chance to pick it up, and they are off the bit today, the Eagles. They're not playing composed footy because Hawthorn have really taken it to them, so most of what they're doing is rushed.
How were LaCroix's hands? Ball got bulleted forward, took it so cleanly around the ankles. Hawks out of trouble momentarily. Gunston playing all around the ground. Quick handball to the skipper in Lewis. Now to Puopolo. Well, he was thinking about the next move. Drop the footy. McKenzie needs Butler. Finds Butler. Butler now to Redden. Moments ago setting up the McGovern goal. Now giving it to McGovern again. What can they muster under 2 minutes before the long break? McGovern. Another goal would make it really interesting. Darling crashes the pack. Now Darling hurried, sort of an ugly ball.
Yes,
but there's the sweeper.
He just keeps getting in the way, just reading it beautifully. He's dropping. He always makes sure he's the most defensive player for Hawthorn, so he sees all the play in front of him, Gibson, and he's just blocking it up beautifully.
Here's Birchall. 1.5 minutes out from half-time. Stratton to the middle. Langford getting ready for one final assault here. They're near the bench, so they'll be aware of the time remaining. Kick goes down towards half-forward, hangs a long time in the air. Oh, well done, Gunston. Got it to Schoenmakers. This will work out okay. That's a missed kick. And they'll get a boundary throw in.
Just a quick one here, guys. Duggan's gone down the race. He's limping badly as he ran past before, and I think it's an ankle. He had it re-strapped halfway through that quarter.
You could hear the word Hindbrad there about a minute to go. Lysette shouting it out to the players down there on the bench. Langford back towards the middle, Hartung over the shoulder. Shuey in trouble, played it well. McGovern, is there time for the West Coast Eagles? Comes out towards the wing. There's plenty of time, and they've got plenty of numbers here. Well played, LaCroix. Yo kept his head over the football and did well. Tight situation. Now it's one-on-one. Deep in attack for the West Coast Eagles. Hill was up, needed to stay on his feet. Litherland bearing down there. Cripps. Guess who? Although Gibson took it a little easily and sold his teammate Giray into trouble. Giray pulled out of that trouble by a free kick. Clock continues to run at 23. It's a long round here for Hawthorn. Up towards the wing, Butler, but time enough for the West Coast Eagles. A kick and a mark if they can send it in. Butler sends a high one. He's aware of the time too. Kennedy from the side launches himself. Giray got a fist on it. Loose ball. Can Cripps get out of there? Well, we're down to 4 seconds, and the danger and the drama has passed. Half time of the MCG. Hawthorn powerful, but the West Coast Eagles gutting. They're still hanging on. The margin just 21 points, surprisingly. We'll be back with more right after this on Sunday Football. Here's a left footer. Lovely day in Melbourne. Interesting game to half-time. Hawthorn up by 21 points. And really, on balance of play and looking at the stats, it should be a blowout, but it's not. The West Coast Eagles just able to hang around, Lee.
Well, I think that's the story of the game at this point. The Eagles have stabilised the game the last 20 minutes, I reckon, of the second quarter. So it's been fairly even Stevens for that period of time. But obviously, the problem clearly for the Eagles is how do you stop Hawthorn scoring and therefore being able to overtake a 4-goal margin, because Hawthorn keep the scoreboard ticking. But again, whether Natanui, whether he's getting the hands on the ball in the aerial duels in the hit-outs, but they're just not making them into clearances. So I think you've said a couple of times during the call, Dennis, they've got to actually do well in the centre bounces.
Absolutely.
Because at the moment, whatever's going on, when Hawthorn get the ball into their forward 50, then the Eagles get so many players back, they just can't get it out. No one to kick it to if they do.
That's right. They drift down the ground following the footy, and there's no forward. So it's a tough contract for the West Coast Eagles. They struck this on grand final day. Different cast, 7 changes to Hawthorn's grand final team, but so far it's been the same result. Maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, I think they're much better placed today than they were at half-time in the grand final.
I think so.
That way, because I think they've worked their way back into the contest in the general play sense. So they're certainly in it. The scoreboard margin is certainly not insurmountable. So I would have thought in some ways the Eagles are feeling a little bit better about having a good 20 minutes going into half-time than they even had before the game started, when the self-doubt seemed to hit them really badly in the first quarter.
Often we talk about trying to stop Mitchell
We're all clear.
or Hodge or Cyril. Josh Gibson is doing so much damage in the back half and controlling that area.
Yeah, he tends to, whenever the ball's down the other end of the field, he plays the player closest to the Eagles' goal. Now that might be still in the middle of the ground because all the Eagles players are up in their back half, but he's that backfield general, quarterback, whatever term that we understand. He's just played it beautifully today.
Start of the third term then at the MCG. Matt Nui gets high, taps it down. Rioli gets it out of the middle. Drives it inside the forward 50. Strong Mark McGovern, who's kicked the goal. Short one. Finds Redden. Redden deliberately to Kennedy. Kennedy across half-back. Little chip up towards the wing. Methodically they work it forward. Privis. Back to Jetta. Terrible kick. Bounces it straight to Lewis, to McAvoy. Lewis. Now they can get caught on the rebound here. Giray pushing up the ground is Cyril. Rioli tugs it back towards the middle. Not a good kick, and the mark is taken by Redden, who plays on immediately to Gaff.
Back inside to McGovern, who kicked a huge goal in that second term when the Eagles were starting to build. Now to Yeo on the outer side wing. How strong is this West Coast Eagles outfit? Can they find a way to buckle Hawthorn, who are without a few of their very best? Lacroix into the sunshine. Hill just outstretched. Birchall, who was hot on his heels, but Hill decides not to go at goal. Puts it to the big man in the square. It's Darling. Lewis gets back, and they are so miserly, Hawthorn, they won't even concede a minor score. Gunston on the last line to halfback. Sicily got 3 goals in the first half. Now defending at halfback. Schoenmakers put under enormous pressure. Tackle came immediately from Schofield.
Never a lift from Nick Nat here. Had a huge week last week. He might be getting his hand on the ball around stoppages, but very little impact around the ground otherwise.
Hearn to Shuey, now to Gaff. Pulls the kick. A diving Darling. Couldn't quite control it. Well, got away from Burgoyne. Again, 30-metre ball. Gibson got a fist onto it. Hill almost got it to Cripps. Stratton watches on now. Couple. Make it 3. Take Kennedy to ground. That's the way they play. All in Hawthorn.
Josh Kennedy has come into the game since midway through that second quarter, just the same.
Backing out this way. Thank you. Backing out this way.
Nat Nui in front. McAvoy from behind. Nat Nui knocked it forward. Giray knocked it back. Lacroix got boot to ball. Bounces towards the boundary line. Good result for the West Coast Eagles. It goes out of bounds. You may notice the umpires today wearing black armbands in memory of umpire Greg Sidebottom, who passed away while umpiring a match in Mona Victoria yesterday. Sympathies to his family. Here's Rioli breaking away. Sicily cut down from behind. He's going to get a free kick, I think. Oh, it's going the other way. Incorrect disposal. Well, that could be 50. I said that. Nelson sends it inside the forward 50. Darling. Clever.
One of the few times where that open field space was there and he was able to... He was able to lead into it, Darling, and it was a good kick.
Here, Jack.
And he had a good match up against Burgoyne. He's got the size and strength on Burgoyne and
50.
Played it well.
Perfect. Thank you, Sean. Yep. I can see it. I can see it.
The differential is 100 possessions between these two clubs, and yet if he kicks a goal here, the margin will be 15 points, and he has. How about that? Most unusual.
You actually couldn't believe that to be true, could you? 100 positions different.
What are you saying?
Well, I know you're accurate. You're very rarely not, but it's just an extraordinary thing to think there's 2.5 goals in it. 3 minutes in the third term when there's such a vast difference between hands on the football.
And I guess the ones that really matter the most is 33 inside 50s to 23. So in fact, They spent a lot more time in their forward half, Hawthorn. Look at these centre squares. The Natanui hit is not coordinating all with the ground level players for the Eagles, as if the Hawthorn players themselves are just getting on the end of his hand.
So Darling kicks a goal from the spot where he had a bad moment in the grand final. And the Eagles have kicked 5 of the last 7 goals of the afternoon. 15 points the margin. Early going third term. Crashing in a man that had a problem with his ankle early in the match. Looks to be okay now. Duggan, his right ankle is being worked on. Lewis. Now to Mitchell. Who's at home? Schoenmakers. Just gets worked under the football. Smith paddles it in the right direction. Langford ready to tackle Nelson as soon as he got hold of the football. Nelson in obvious discomfort.
Straight back.
Langford knocked it in Pritis's direction. Gaff
Play on.
hardly had a moment with the football. Well, that arm getting tested again from Langford, who was the man that put him under pressure. Cyril put a knee when Nelson didn't want it. Matty Pritis saw that, knocked him away. McAvoy, Natanui. Lewis becomes a third man. Frawley, Rioli from right on his measure from 51. Well, why would you doubt Cyril? Just when he's needed, up he bobs. There's so many problems around the world at the moment. I think we should just send Cyril a list of them. By the end of the week, have them pretty much sorted.
Yeah, well, that was 40 metres out, that ball up, and Eagles had 3 or 4 forwards forward of the footy because it's just been rebounding ad nauseum after this first part of the game. But I guess it gives a little bit more space in the forward line for Hawthorn. That's the downside. And Rioli always finds the space. So we have a look at this. A good setup. The Eagles have got some forwards back to give them something if they get it out. But there's also more space in Hawthorn's forward 50. And Rioli with a sniff of space kicks the goal really nicely.
McAvoy hooks it down. Redden goes in after it. It was a daring punch, you've got to say, by Natanui back of that bounce. It did expose the middle. Rioli finished up with a football. Bad combination. Redden down towards half forward in the back. Gibson will get a free kick. Yeo has been quiet by his standards. Mitchell, anything but. Litherland, Hartung. He flourished in the third quarter last week against the Cats, who amazingly lost today. There's Smith across the ground. Frawley sends it wide. Is still asking something, challenging the West Coast Eagles. Gunston deliberately placing the ball onto his boot. Here's Bruce. Midway between centre wing and half forward. Cuts back towards the middle under no degree of pressure. Over the head of Rioli, it runs on and goes out of bounds.
Brewster's been debandaged at half time. Just to your point in regard to the wins, I got a text at half time. So the Cats, who beat the Hawks by 5 goals, have just lost to the Giants, who last week lost to Melbourne, who this week lost to the Bombers, who were flogged by the Suns.
Gone a bit fast for me, Hayne.
A long ball. Well, you can't actually script that. O'Rourke from his back. The youngsters are getting involved. Sicily's been brilliant. O'Rourke, when the moment came, did exactly what he needed to do. Well, they keep unearthing these gems.
Yes, I mentioned to Alison Clarkson before the game that the new kids into the team, they're not guys who've never played before. They're not first gamers, 18-year-olds, draftees. They're players who've spent a bit of time in the Hawthorn system playing for Box Hill Hawks. So they're more ready to compete when they get to this level. Look at this, the ball just bobbles around. Just 2 really relatively random goals just from broken play in their forward 50 for Hawthorn, who's really just opened up the scoreboard again.
Natanui gets high. Some variety there. He tried to hook it down behind, but Smith finishes up with it. Not his best effort, though. Not all that adept on the right boot. Down towards half forward. Piopolo over the football. Butler's got him. Langford loves a stoush. Hard worker. Schoenmakers emerge with it. Smith too hot for Howe. Smith comes again. Hartung runs outside the 50. Looks back towards the middle. Short one, Mitchell. So Mitchell, he's only backed off about 5 metres. Now he's slowly going back. Takes on the man on the mark. Thinks he can do the distance just beyond the mark, but good pressure from Shuey affected the kick, and it flies out of bounds on the floor.
One thing, he can feign onto his non-dominant side because he hasn't actually got one. He just feigns onto either side and then just comes back.
Tricky.
Nat Nui moved himself just into the right spot, couldn't quite take it. Almost for Pritis. His hair at the bottom of all that. An amazing side, Hawthorn, aren't they, Lee? Just when you think you're getting yourself back into the game, they've got an amazing ability to dampen your spirits.
Just find a way to keep scoring.
Smith clever to Bruce. Bruce just works his way through enormous traffic. Segler, just too high for him. Nat Nui to Shuey. Well, somehow, brilliantly, Mitchell ends up with the football, emerges onto the left boot. He's hooked it back a long way. Schoenmakers over the top, not quite. Here's a chance, Bruce. He works all the angles. And suddenly they've got 3 in a row. Rioli, O'Rourke, and now Bruce. And after all the good work from the Eagles, narrowing the gap to 15 after the Darling goal, it's back out to a game-high 33.
But even that kick by Mitchell, it was a long high kick in middle. There's nothing else on, so drop it 10 to 15 metres out from goal. And if you do get the crumbing goal, so the crumbing possession, then you've got a fairly much an open goal. So they just make the right decision and create goals, individual efforts or team goals. They just keep the scoreboard ticking, Hawthorn. It's been a great part of what is making them such a great team for so long.
Margin 33 points then. Nat Nui has to wait for it. And the umpire will do it again.
We've seen often at Subiac, haven't we, when the Natanui hit to an Eagles player on the move through the contest of the centre square gets it forward. But Hawthorn have just knocked that down today.
Yeah. Perfect example right there. Yo had some momentum up but was stopped in his tracks. Here's Butler, Gaff, Yo, Shuey. Now they're out with set forwards. He looks inside the forward line. Going back, Lysette. Oh, he dropped the mark. Bounces towards the pocket, but now he puts it out of bounds on the full. For a moment, Lysette had been clipped on the way through by Kennedy. Both those big bodies running in opposite directions. Kennedy very passive through there.
Just dropped the chest mark.
Yeah, that's all it was. He stayed down for a while. Frawley to the outer side. Nat Nui from behind. Knocked it away. O'Rourke. Gibson getting across. Very plight that time. Josh picking it up. Darling. Lacroix. Now he snatches at Gibbo. Tries to force his way out. Nothing doing.
Lee, you mentioned earlier the Eagles having a bad day. The Hawks are very good at not allowing teams to have a good day, aren't they?
Absolutely. Particularly this part of the game where they're going to get beaten in the hit-outs, Hawthorn, but they've planned it beautifully to make sure that the Eagles can't take it away.
Stratton, who did enough to put Lysette off the mark earlier, ends up on the bottom of the pack. Ball sits underneath a pile of human flesh, and the umpire will get these players rolling again.
Who's up? Who's up? Scott's up.
Gibson just shepherding Nat Nui. Lysette, he was the nominated ruckman. Lacroix normally pretty good in these scenarios. Again, it's Jamie Bennell who's got to do plenty, and again, it's an Eagle who's outnumbered.
He's looked lost out there today, Bennell. He's actually gone into the forward line. He's only touched the ball a handful of times. He's just not able to be playing the tempo that this game is being played at.
Lysette, Segler almost, and then Darling crashes through. Segler becomes the tackler. Free kick. Eagles need everything to go their way. They get the rub of the green there.
Thank you. Over there, please.
So he kicked the first of this term, Darling. Nothing for the Eagles since.
15 gone. I didn't think it was.
All ahead of him. 2 becomes 3. Margin back under 5 goals. 13 played in the third. Well, the big men between them have done not quite enough. Darling's got 3. Kennedy, well, he at the moment has the single. But between them, they're going to have to find plenty more against this Hawks defence. Kennedy 8-2 last week, scoreless in the grand final, won this afternoon. Darling has carried the load.
It's the kind of a little bit of good fortune. I guess the left arm was over the shoulder.
Encouraging for Jack Darling. 3 goals now. Nat Nui, first hand to it, but marginal. Howe, Langford. High ball floating inside the forward 50. Shepherd got in front, then missed the footy. Trying to get out is McKenzie, hanging on his Gunston. Played a look towards the umpire, and it's holding the footy. Got that look about him. He's a choir boy, I reckon, Jack Gunston. Didn't say anything, but the look was enough.
Finds a way to kick a goal too. It's going to take his best long kick, probably a 55-metre carry, but he is a beautiful kick of the ball, and it has been seen to be floating long this end.
Going at his second. From 55 metres out, gives it a ride. Has it got the carry? Not quite. It's offline anyway. Nat Nui to a dangerous spot. Gaff off balance. Got a hand pass away at Redden. Hand passes it through. And I think he was under pressure.
He was being tackled, so I guess he's under pressure. But
even when they're not under pressure, the West Coast Eagles at times today have been under pressure. You could mount a good case.
I think any team that handballs it through playing Hawthorn basically have an exemption, don't they?
Yeah, well, that's true. I know. I mean, I'm not quite sure whether he should be able to hand pass or kick it through myself, but he certainly was under pressure.
Kennedy, 3 Hawks taking him on. O'Rourke clean at ground level. Gibson had so much of the football. Burgoyne gets away from Duggan. Schoenmakers loops it over the top to the run of Langford. Almost put into a good spot. Ricocheted to a good spot. In good hands. Rioli tried to go low. Langford crashed through. And now it's a 0-0 draw.
Let him up, let him up.
When they're moving the ball, the Hawthorn team have an ability to flick it into the right spot. Not even take possession.
Yeah, they work off each other beautifully. And they lock it in, the Rioli, Paropolo, Bruce, players like that. They don't let the ball, Langford in there today. They don't look at that easy.
Burgoyne, almost Gaff. Last line, to the outer it goes. Guess who? Gibson coming up for Gibson. If you could get hold of the football, would have been possession 28. Right now, I think he leads all comers. 9 spoils also for the afternoon. Get 29 for the entire grand final. Mitchell takes a breather.
Nat Nui takes the footy. Clean possession. Into the path of Lacroix. Held a long time. It'll come back to Lacroix.
Right here, Josh. Thanks, mate.
Josh Gibson. Twice best and fairest in premiership years in this run. Originally from North Melbourne, played just over 60 games there, but he has flourished in this system. Lacroix, punishing kick. Nat Nui works in front. Lysette dropped the mark. Nat Nui missed the footy. Picked up by Shuey. Prittis taken down. No prior was the call. Could have been high on Howe. Out of there by Gaff. And this one bounces close to the boundary line and goes out. And I think both those decisions, the kick coming out by Gaff in the back pocket, then that one, have been common sense decisions. Reaching over the top, slapped down by Nat Nui, and it's going to be a free kick to West Coast. I think it'll go to a man on the ground, Redden. He was being held. So Redden, the former Brisbane Lion, take a good kick from here. He gave off last time, remember, to McGovern, who kicked the goal. This one he just sets up to the top of the square. McAvoy dropped it. Frawley, Gibson in trouble. Under pressure, improvising. Stratton got boot to ball, trying to clutch it. There was Lewis, brilliantly played. Got it to Burgoyne. Burgoyne misses the target, and some of the Eagles have the temerity to appeal for deliberate.
What a warrior that man has been. Sean Burgoyne, one of the 7 Hawks that became a 4-time premiership player. I believe one of those was with Port Adelaide. Lacroix ran out of room. Now a chance. Kennedy has one, needs a second. The Eagles would love him to find a way. Gibson was there, fumbled through, one behind only. Back it goes to Birchall.
Birchall to O'Rourke. He's a right half back. Running hard is Schoenmakers. This kick is a lucky dip Takes a bounce, goes to Shepherd. Cross to Hill, all the way back to left half back and McKenzie. Now this is where the problems start. Not much to kick to. Intended for Redden. Howe came over the top, missed it. Charging through, Stratton played it nicely. Hartung in the grasp. Gets a hand pass away close to the boundary line. Litherland knew where the help was. Goes back to Gibson. And massing a huge tally. Gave it to Smith. Now the run comes. Hartung gets it back from Birchall, but he fumbled. That next hand pass was clever though. Birchall gives it to Lewis.
He's got a runner. Duray, long ball, perfect to Langford. Couldn't have kicked it any better. Langford now has got leading forwards. One Puopolo going deep. Bruce. Schoenmaker's also an option. Burgoyne, he was at halfback moments ago. Top of the square. Ball to be won. Schoenmaker's. Bruce tackled. Gaff the tackler. Shuey grabbed the ball out of the air. Back to halfback. Burgoyne again involved. What a player he has been. Schofield knocked the ground. In trouble. Gasping for air. So too are all the Eagles. Hawthorn by 27.
Just under 8 minutes out from three-quarter time. Lysette decisively into space. Chance for the Eagles. Duggan runs onto the footy. Now they've got runners going back, but leading the race is Stratton. Will he take on Darling? Gets past him. Adventurous, good stuff. Then missed the target. Backed up there by Mitchell. Gave it across to Smith. Hartung. How did he get through there? Duray on the outer side towards half forward. On the stretch, it was missed by Lewis. Picked up by Shuey. Nelson goes back. Butler under pressure. Gets the kick away. Close to the boundary line. Over the top. Stratton thumps it that way. And out it goes. We'll have a throw in.
Been a pretty good matchup for Darling. Darling's got his 3 goals. Hasn't had a whole lot of the ball, but Stratton plays that third tool. He's had to come up a notch in terms of players he plays on when without Lake in their team.
For Gibson, he's on target for a PB, 36 the PB, 29 is total now. Eagles, they need to make every post a winner. Playing the champs by 27. Kennedy off the ground, breaks early, never really a chance. Frawley happy to see it over. 21 gone in the third term. Margin was 21 at half-time, 26 at quarter-time. McAvoy, Lysette, no clear win. Shuey went to ground. Tackler was Duray.
He did the buckle the knees and drop and hope that you get a high tackle, but just didn't quite work, or the umpire didn't quite have the field position to see it.
Sorry, man. You've got blood coming down your cheek, mate. You're going to have to go and get it fixed up.
A breather for all concerned.
Seg's has just come on for McAvoy here. Uncontested possessions. Hawthorn are still controlling the game. They've just gone past, was it 100 here? It's just a phenomenal number.
Dennis, you talked about the differential in disposals earlier. 303 to 84. Just on 120 separating the two teams.
Well,
he's off, mate.
It's almost a first in a game this close, isn't it? Knocked down by Lysette. Gibson bounces it towards his defensive goal. Down goes Darling. Ball slow to release. Umpire gave them plenty of time. And Mitchell, after Lewis hand passed in his direction, headed for the line.
The game stabilised a little bit because the clearances, which were a long way Hawthorn's way early, at least now the Eagles have evened them up.
Hartung got it from Burgoyne. Telling kick coming out to Schoenmakers. Luke Beveridge moments ago looking on. They play the Hawks next Sunday. Kick inside the forward 50. Hanging on over the top. Bruce will get a free kick against Schofield. Schofield, who did such a good job last season. McKenzie went down and Schofield was coming back off injury. He really was steadfast down there.
2 grappling bodies, but I guess the guy in front gets the benefit of the doubt more than the defender trailing.
Here's Bruce then, trying to ride that benefit of the doubt. And he misses out to the right-hand side.
Last goal of the afternoon came via the boot of Jack Darling. The Eagles put two together. Kennedy in the middle of the ground. Has some runners now. The spread is on. Jetta, we know he's got the pace. He and Duray, they'll chase after the same football. Duray gets held. Hawks fans see that. Duray continues at the football. Ends up with the football. Tries to get away from Jetta. Somehow got boot to ball. Burgoyne, low ball. Clever in the circumstances. Sicily again. Terrific in the air. He's been good in front of goals. He finds himself on the wing. Hawthorn now. Langford quickly over the top. Bruce, little sidestep. Low ball. Where does it end up? Well, it's almost in Howe's hands. Cyril, we talked about the slapping work from Rioli. He Rioli'd it, tried to get it to Schoenmakers. He couldn't get there. Schoenmakers watches on. Redden ends up with a football. And after all that, the Hawks work it to a dangerous spot again.
Under 5 minutes to three-quarter time. With the run, Schoenmakers knocks it goalward. Strong tackle by Rioli. Well played, Yo. Got it to Kennedy. Kicks it outside the defensive 50. Gibson with courage. Punched it a second time. Mitchell, like a base runner, going to second. Fending off is Birchall. In comes Prentice on his knees. Deflects off Birchall. Mitchell taken high. Plays on. No whistle anyway. Feeds it out to O'Rourke. 55 metres out. Interesting kick. It was touched a couple of times on the way through. Lysette grabs it. Kicks it back outside the 50. But only as far as Frawley. So Hawthorn will go in again, one would imagine. It's going to be later rather than sooner. The short one comes to Hawthorn. A lot of players in that forward 50 now for the Hawks, but they'll take their chances. Long ball. Rioli could have been held in front of the pack there. Falls to Shepherd. Ball bounces away from him. Bruce dives on it. Rioli. Quite aggressive today, Rioli. It's going to be a free kick against his teammate Bruce. Perhaps Cyril just trying to muddy the waters there.
Luke, thank you. Right on it.
Such a big swing, this next goal. Out to 33 points or back to 21. And just a sense of belief from an Eagles perspective. Mackenzie. Well, again, all Hawthorn. West Coast, not outnumbered, but outpositioned. Birchall. Now to Isaac Smith. Gibson. Well, that's number 31. It wasn't perfect. Smith might get it back to him. Kennedy, here we go. This is certainly an opportunity for the Eagles. Cripps, he's put it through. Back to 21 points. He's got two. Well, they've been on the ropes for a long time, the Eagles, but they haven't been knocked out quite yet.
Yep. No, it's been hard work scoring for them, but one of the few times that Hawthorn have turned the ball over, they had the time and space, but the Eagles' pressure got them for once on their half-back line, created an easy goal. He's been a general all day, Gibson, but it's the first time he's made an error. He's had a lot of the ball, but made an error then. And if you make an error and turn the ball over on your half-back line, well, so often the opposition score.
I made one too. I flashed Haim two figures. He's only kicked one goal, Cripps. Sorry, Haim.
Well.
On the way down, Nat Nui. Here's Mitchell. Kicks it down towards half forward. Mackenzie missed the target. Here's Rioli. Rioli sends it down towards full forward and puts it through on the bounce. Stolen. He's got three.
We've said this before, but they have an extraordinary ability, this team, to answer quickly, Lee, and just sap you of any confidence you thought you were building.
Well, they put the opposition defence under pressure just because of the players and Rioli and Paropolo in the area, and that was just really a bad turnover by the Eagles. Let's have a look at this. This was really a misplaced hit. Again, a turnover on your half-back line, and most sides score, but if it goes to Rioli, well, he's going to make you pay.
He's like MacGyver, can walk into a garage and come out with a helicopter and have so little to work with. He's got three for the afternoon, and every time he gets a football, he's been damaging. Hawthorn over the top. No one at home for the moment. Mackenzie will be worried about the bounce. Well, does enough to fumble it over. I'm not sure that's what he set out to achieve, but as the ball continued to run away, it was probably enough. They can set up again, the Eagles, back to 27 points. Nat Nui wins the tap from behind. Redden quickly to the wing. What can they put together here, the Eagles? Hill was amongst a few Hawks, ends up with Birchall, tumbles it forward. Well, again, Sicily leaps from behind. He can go back and kick goal number 4.
He's been impressive on that ability to read the flight of the kick upfield and force himself to the foot. He's taken a couple of good overhead marks. That might not have been overhead, but he had to force his way to the contest when the other players were looking a little. The Eagles defender didn't go with him.
He's making a case, isn't he, Lee, to stay in this outfit?
Well, he is. Well, he's going to get his chance to consolidate his position because Ruppet's not going to be available for half a season, so he's going to have plenty of chance to make that position his even when Roughhead returns.
Yep, nice size. There's Hearn, got it from Shuey, driving it through the wing. Stratton tries to knock it out, but it comes to Hill. Hill goes over the top to Darling, to Yo, wants to give it back to Darling. Not sure about that. Beat one, couldn't beat the second. Burgoyne with desperation. Darling matched it. Hand pass comes across from Kennedy. Pulling it back is Jetta, helped across the line down there by Gibson. And it's a minor score. Well, that was a half chance. It should have been better.
Looked like a certain goal. It looked like they had the numbers, but they weren't, as they have most of the day. They haven't been able to coordinate with their teammates sufficiently to get into the right spot to take advantage of the extra number.
And Burgoyne won't get a possession for it, but just as it's about to fall into Eagles' hands, the old veteran gets a hand on the football, knocks it back into the contest, and the forward thrust stopped again by this Hawthorn defence. Shuey had it, lost it. Smith taken to the ground, heard the whistle.
They're masters of this straight-up tackle, aren't they? They're really strong and aggressive, and they come directly at the body. Nothing with the arms. Segler's kick goes close to the boundary. McGovern. Rioli's in there somewhere, and the ball just trickles out of bounds. Cyril's got 3 goals this afternoon. Likewise Darling. Likewise Sicily. Some young faces there, and Paul Puopolo. Nat Nui. Redden couldn't control it. McAvoy had a half chance. No way through for Lewis. Clock stops at 27 seconds. West Coast Eagles trying hard. They haven't given it away for a moment, but just been overmatched for the best part of the afternoon. Mitchell gets a hand in there to stifle the hand pass. Redden did well. Got it back. Rioli gives it to Lewis. Long ball down towards the pocket. In front, missed by Bruce. Arriving quickly. Smith hooks. And it bounces harmlessly into the goal square. And Hearn will bring it out. Short one to Jetta. Almost siren time. Comes back to the middle. And Shuey. Hearn on the overlap. Try as they might. The West Coast Eagles making few inroads. The margin was 21 at half-time. It's now 27. Sunday football. Hawks with the lead, 11-11 to 7-8. End of daylight saving here in Melbourne. Getting a little gloomy at the city end, but the game has been very interesting. Different styles. Hawks on top, though. They lead by 27 points in the grand final rematch, 11-11 to 7-8. The West Coast Eagles with a lot to do if they're going to pull this one out of the fire. Let's go down to Brad Sewell, who's got a big interview. Well, hang on. Waiting for Dean Cox to leave the huddle. Sorry about that, gentlemen. False start for Brad. And Adam Simpson, you wonder what he can conjure here. What would he be saying to these guys, do you think, Lee? I mean, is there any way around this sort of abyss in terms of no forwards or forwards really struggling?
Well, I think they've just got to attack. I mean, the problem is what they do when they play well is they have a really good, I mean, Natanew is really good in the aerial stuff, and their ground level takeaways from his aerial stuff is really good. But Hawthorn have shut them down again today.
I promised a big interview. Here he is.
Coxie, mate, if you're behind that ball at the moment, you're still within
Still in a chance.
Yeah, we just got to throw caution to the wind now, take the game on and try and get some centre clearances that killed us in that third quarter.
Yeah, Nick-Nack's getting a hand on the ball, but not much impact.
Yeah, so that's what we want to do, make sure we balance the circle really well and get some connection.
Yep, and around the ground, mids need to get their hands on the ball a bit more as well.
Yeah, it's been the story of the day. We've got to make sure it happens.
No worries, thanks, mate. All the best.
Brad Sewell on the boundary from the champ with Hawthorn, and they've had plenty of them in recent times. It's been a golden era for this club. And there's 3 of the reasons, if Ben will pardon me saying that. Cyril, 3 goals today, so lively. Mitchell started brilliantly. And Lewis, well, the acting captain, says enough. That's a lot of trust.
This is where it has to start. Hit outs of 14-6 West Coast's way in the centre bounces, but Hawthorn 11-6, 5 up in clearances. So the connection, as Dean Cox said, between hit out and ground level is just not working.
Need some early goals, the West Coast Eagles, and they've been scarce today. Picked up by McAvoy. Away to Burgoyne, kicks it straight up in the air. Getting back is Gaff. It bounces away from him. That favoured him, actually. Hand passes to Shepherd. Hits into the trailer. O'Rourke. Hand passes to Gaff. Shuey's got it now. Cramped. Hooks it across the body. Giray bounces off his chest. Finds it again. Tried to give it across to Gibson. Stifled by Yo. Stratton didn't have the footy. Ball goes out of bounds. We'll have a throw in.
What's been so impressive, Lee, are these youngsters from Hawthorn, 7 with 35 games or less experience. So these less drilled soldiers just going out, playing their role. They've been well drilled. Rioli, one of those youngsters, O'Rourke. Rioli comes and grabs hold of Red and takes him to the ground, had hold of his arm.
Holding the ball. Legal disposal. Hawthorn. Hold, Jack. Hold. Hold, Mark.
To Luke Hodge a couple of weeks ago, is there a player that has done more with less football in his hands than Cyril? He found it hard to find a name. Mitchell, Nat Nui, too tall in the end for McAvoy. Read it well. McAvoy was in front, but Nat Nui saw it coming. And at half-back, the Eagles, trailing by 27.
That was his first mark.
For the afternoon.
Yep.
To the wing he goes, Gibson. Seen a lot of it. Lacroix, little slap to Hill. Back it goes. Shuey gets away from Gibson. Prittis linking with Shuey. Now a chance. Butler into the middle. Well, they've got to be quick here. Tough for Cripps. Prittis. Threaded it through. Shepherd. Gaff. Collared in the end. How was the tackler? Well, Jenna hasn't seen a lot of it. Took a long time. Puopolo caught him with a footy. If it's not Rioli, it's Puopolo. And if it's not Puopolo, well, just look out. It'll be someone.
That was an exchange Hawthorn should play over and over. I'm sure they will. The pressure there, one man to the next, just transferred as the Eagles trying to get out of there, but no hope. Gaff kicks it up towards the wing. Lacroix rushes at it. So did O'Rourke. Did best. Lewis. Gibson. And now Litherland down towards half forward. The mark has been taken by Gunston. Gunston goes to the pocket. Bruce to run her alongside. But Bruce decides to hold up. Men in the middle, men everywhere. Cyril a little disappointed he didn't get the footy.
Time. Hold your line.
So Bruce now getting side on to the goals initially. Then fools us all.
He got into about 3 places, Gunston Dennis, then waiting to get on the end of it, and he didn't get rewarded by the kick first one, second one, but he went there with third time.
And that's really the staple of his performance, isn't it?
Keep presenting.
Yeah, just keep presenting, keep helping. He's the ultimate team player, Gunston. 25 metres out, deserving of a goal. He's done a lot, hasn't kicked a lot of goals today, and I think he's missed this one. Margin 28 points. Son of a gun. 11-12, 7-8.
Hawthorn 5-6 from set shots. 28 points the margin.
Right on there.
Could have been more dire for West Coast. So un-Hawthorn-like to allow a team
Move it on. Right on.
in his small wins. Prittis waited a long time, had it knocked away. Here's Lewis. Well, not a set shot, but brilliant and over the top. Guess who? Cyril Rioli. He's a marvel. He's got 4.
Now they try and use it on the way out, the Eagles. They can't just keep kicking the ball down the line. Hawthorn have just been blocking them up when they've tried that play, but Just that short in between quick to Prentice. As soon as it hung in the air and Lewis got there, the goal was going to be just about go through if Rioli intercepted it or not. But a long way back for the Eagles now. Been a lot of good players today, I guess, for Hawthorn, but given he won the Norm Smith medal last year and Rioli's been really good again today, they might have nightmares about him, the Eagles.
Role reversal there. Ball came to Rioli. He kicked the goal, but it was the man in the middle, Lewis, who drove the getaway car. Thumped towards the pocket by Frawley. Litherland goes after it, left it behind. Chance here for Kennedy. Heard a voice, goes back to it. Cripps perhaps wishes he hadn't. That was run down, smashed he was. Stratton arrived quickly and in ill humour.
The tackle numbers are similar, but Hawthorn's just ability to lay the critical tackle.
Naitanui over the top. Stratton knocks it down.
Touch, play on!
Gaff straight into the head of Naitanui and ricochets across towards Burgoyne. Burgoyne, that was perfect, just inside the line, and we'll get a throw. It was intended actually for Hawthorn, so it wasn't, but not perfect, but worked out okay.
What a big workload Naitanui has shouldered today, but for the Eagles, he's got his hand on the football lot. They haven't been able to win it in the middle of the ground. Yo tried to work his way through. Gibson, who's been prolific getting the football, also been spoiling and tackling from the get-go. Schofield chases a loose football. Bruce chases Schofield. Schofield, clever. Couldn't quite control the football. Possession differential, 122. 355 to 233. Matty Spanger, Brendan Whitecross.
There are other players available if you need to go even further into your depth. Although I think Spanger's been injured, I think.
Yeah, he's been
wrecked.
Trying to work his way back onto the healthy list. Duggan. Well, Ben McAvoy doing exactly what the team require of him. Naitanui, hurried ball inside 50, drops in the right spot.
Just here. Time back on. Just here.
So Lacroix, who has been so deadly for the Eagles for so long, to try and bring it back under 5 goals. Still ample time on the clock, but it has been an impotent forward line for much of the day. 7 goals only, considering Kennedy kicked 8 himself last week. Lacroix hasn't troubled the scorers yet this afternoon. Leading goal scorer a couple of times for the Eagles in 09 and 2010. Never as he would have liked.
Tough kick for a small forward when they're outnumbered on the forward line. The Crows battled. Lewis called out of it by Birchall. Hawthorn was, that is. Lewis gets it back again. Short one to Gibson. Gibson forward of right half back. Jams it onto the chest of Mitchell. Heard the umpire. Mitchell in and out of trouble. Brilliantly done. Well played by Yo. Kept at it. Smothered the kick. Birchall. Hawthorn released into space now. Comes in short. Mitchell gets it from Lewis. Hawthorn going to the forward end of the square. Run down from behind. It was a very good chase by Redden. Then Gaff gives it across to Shepherd. They're still trying hard, the Eagles. Ball goes out towards left half forward. Gibson. Now that was special. Just reaching over the top and the perfect connection.
You're not going to find many defenders played a role better than Gibson today. It's not so much a man-on-man defence. When he had to then, he doesn't find. But just the ability to be in the right spot at the right time.
33 disposals.
Yeah, exceptional.
Here he is again on cue. Another handball. That's 21st of the day. 34th touch. Langford picks up the loose ball. Thinks about it. Goes low. Shepherd got hold of the bouncing footy. Schoenmakers got hold of Shepherd. And he makes a statement. An exclamation mark from Schoenmakers. Lysette beaten by Lewis, who just lurked around in front. Hurried ball to half forward. Gunston, you can't take a ball any cleaner than that. Bruce runs on, takes on Nelson, flicks it back. Well, tried to take it out of the air. I think it was Lewis. Ended up with Burchill. He to Sicily. Pushed under the ball by McGovern. Did enough, McGovern, and all legally so. Puopolo, Schofield. He's trying to worry him out of it. Schofield did well. Brilliantly so. Great defence. Bruce helps out. Still the Eagles win the ball. Still, though, the Eagles under pressure. Jamie Bennell brings it towards Hill. Howe. Stratton. He finds the line. Well, you don't have much time with a football if you're an Eagle, or if you're a footballer playing the Hawks. Look at the 30-pluses for the 30-year-olds. Mitchell, 34 and counting. Bradley, 38.
Great names there. Langford, right under the chest of McKenzie. He's battled manfully down there.
Move it on. Play on.
Out of the back pocket. Sends it up towards the wing. Lysette in from the side. They haven't stuck for him today. Redden in trouble. So too Gaff. Gaff was hit hard. Over it is Hearn. Then Shuey in turn. The ball rolls out the back. Redden trying to pick it up. Segler did well. What a hard ball. Lewis, bit slick. Smith controls it, then he misses a target. That's been rare today. Put down Lacroix eventually. Smith determined to redeem himself. One tiny hand pass though. Gibson, still the West Coast Eagles keeping at it. This is Frawley, and Frawley comes to Stratton. Stratton goes short to Gibson. Normal service is resumed.
Hold there!
They make an unbelievably difficult game look so easy at times, Hawthorn, don't they?
They think their way through so well. They execute so well.
And they back themselves, just like that. Burchill had so little to work with. Saw Cripps was bearing down on Stratton, still backed himself in, hit his target. So Stratton from the west, from Margaret River, heads to half forward. Here's Rioli going backwards, moonwalking, still finds the skipper. Well, Lewis into the pocket, drops it in just the right spot. Here's a chance. Sicily over the top. Bruce, Puopolo, a fumble, still time to slap it. A chance. Howe, back it comes. Schoenmakers, low ball. Hawks get another.
Score review. Umpire scores a goal. Please check if it was touched. It calls a goal.
Be a tough one to overturn, you'd
Review
suggest.
complete. Confirm behinds.
Touched.
It's interesting. I mean, they've probably got even bigger screens and better vision than we have. But the umpire's call, I thought, was to say it was absolutely touched. It's the correct decision.
Hearn, straight up the middle now. Segler, and a big pack got a first to it. Taken by Smith, gets it away. Gibson, Hartung, back to Gibson. Runner outside, uses him as a decoy. Gibson towards half forward, McGovern in front. Bruce punched it away. Schoenmakers, Langford back to Schoenmakers. Pops it up towards full forward. Thumped away down there by McKenzie. Runs up towards centre half back. Oh, look at that. They bet at the football. Duray, who was just the drive-by, came out of it worst. He's still down. Short one comes to McGovern. McGovern pops it outside the defensive 50 and Shuey. Now they're a chance to move it up towards the wing. Lysette. His hands generally have let him down today. Lysette. Now it's his pace. He was tackled by Litherland. Bounces across towards Darling. That's going to be holding the ball. Well done, James Frawley. Just latched on. Trades of his uncle.
Well, if anyone was doubting the Hawks hungrily,
no one's doubting their hunger, I don't think, Hamish. The question was their personnel starting to get so depleted that they might be not to be able to play at the level we've become used to.
they have sent another message to the competition. Anyone thinking they were too old or weary or wounded, think again. Here's a chance. Rioli manhandled. Ball goes to ground. Still Rioli lurks. Tackle is on. Ball is loose. Rioli tries to work his way through. The Eagles somehow, under immense pressure, get hold of the football, kick it away. Hartung, here's Gibson. The defender, is he a goal kicker? He can do it all. Well, in a remarkable career of 192 games he's kicked before today, just 2 goals.
It's amazing. Sometimes with defenders they get a lot of the ball because they're just doing a lot of those sideways kicks. He's only had 8 marks, so he's had 39 disposals, 31 of which in general play. He has done everything else today, hasn't he, Gibson? That was his 39th disposal. It was his first goal, but geez, just continually found the ball across halfback. Not cheap kicks sideways either. He's found it on the way through.
Josh's first goal as a Hawk, game number 127. Taking a while, but he lapped it up. Watched the big replay screen for quite a while. It's going to be a free kick, and it's going the way of Hawthorn, despite the fact you're looking at Shuey, who is feeling the worse for wear. Hawthorn is the man to get the free. He's been a good injection of pace in recent weeks. Now Smith can kick it a long way. That's the purpose of this. Takes the hand pass, but tugs it to the left in the pocket. Nat Nui goes up, got a fist on it. Hill gave it back to McKenzie. This is the captain, Hearn, drives it to midfield. Yo goes back, stretches, and takes the mark. Out the back is Lysette. Will the kick get there in time? Now he set him a task because this man should be too nimble. Litherland, well done, Lysette. Grabbed him and effected the hand pass.
It's interesting, isn't it, when the young players or the next generation players who come into the Hawthorn side haven't played much footy, but they've got such great confidence in the core, the 15 or 16 that are there and proven players. It just makes it so much easier for them to do their part.
Deep ball inside 50. Lysette got a hand onto it, just paused for a moment, then went searching for Darling. Couldn't quite find him. Howe got involved. Fumbling ball. Kennedy went through his legs. Yo ends up with a footy. Goes for Leclerc. Gibson. Well, if he hasn't got the footy in his hands, he's tackling those that do. Darling. Hard to beat 1, let alone 2.
Well, we mentioned pre-game you can't afford to have bogey teams and bogey grounds. The Eagles might have both when it comes to Hawthorn and the MCG.
Well, the Hawks had won 7 of the last 10 coming into this. They beat them on a variety of grounds. Tasmania, Etihad, over in the west, here at the MCG. Puopolo, Howe. Big raps on Howe from all those who you speak to at Hawthorn. Frawley waits for it to settle. Jamie Bennell tries to run Frawley down. Does.
Holding the ball. Legal disposal.
Couple of old demons run into each other in different colours.
There's Bennell. So bogey. Oh, that's a terrible kick. Straight to Gunston. Bogey grounds, bogey teams. Sounds like Carmageddon there, Lee.
Yeah, that's right.
Hand pass comes from Mitchell. Giray down to the pocket. Good kick. What a well-weighted kick it was. Onto the chest of Sicily. He's been at 3. And should go close from here. His confidence is sky high. You can just tell by his demeanour right on the ground. The longer this one's gone, the more he feels he belongs out there.
Yes, the way he's played the game and his confidence in his goal scoring, you'd think he's a Monty to kick this. Let's see if he does.
It's on the way. And it's good. Good for him.
Yes, amazing things of those set shots. You kick a few behinds and the goals look about a foot wide. But he's already kicked his 3 goals. Hawthorn are well in control now. They're just playing out the game nice and comfortably. So when he's got a shot to kick his 4th, it becomes a very, very easy conversion.
Great forward line to become a part of too. Such a hard-working forward line.
Yeah.
Those speedsters and Gunston.
Nice day to emerge. Perfect autumn afternoon. Big stage. Grand final rematch. He's got 4-2 for the afternoon. Kennedy and Darling between them have 4-1. The youngster going well. Gaff, Shuey, Eagles. Well, they have come today as favourites. And as you said, Lee, without a win, they'll leave disillusioned. Gibson. Well, he just clicks over 40 disposals for the afternoon. Remarkable, including a goal.
West Coast, McGovern.
12 spoils amongst his afternoon. So 40 disposals, his first goal as a Hawk, his third in his career. 2 obviously with the Kangaroos.
Nonchalantly kicks it 50 metres down towards half forward. Lysette rises, takes the mark. Good one. Sends it deeper into attack. Kennedy standing tall and over the top of teammate Yo. Very good aerialist for his size is Elliot Yo. Directly in front, only about 35 metres out, should kick this goal. Pull it back to 40 points.
They're 33rd inside 50, so they haven't been down this end much.
At times it's been sparsely populated. There goes the kick. It's out to the left-hand side from Yo, so he misses. 14-13, play 7-10.
Amazingly, we talked about how this game can make you look foolish with Essendon beating Melbourne yesterday.
Thanks, Jack.
I walked past a conversation today where there was speculation the Hawks could be 0-3 with the Dogs next weekend. Might be 2-1.
Looks a good game now, doesn't it?
Yeah, fabulous. Etihad Stadium, Sunday afternoon. Look at Hawthorn. Look at his pace. Just runs away from tired Eagles. Mitchell. Handball. Perfect to Gunston. Gunston has time just to think about what's next. Well, the kick was ordinary. The damage has been done. Last 5 minutes about to play out, and we are seeing a side that has done what only the Lions have done in the AFL. Bob Murphy working for a radio station this afternoon behind Gerard Whateley. Lee's talking to Bob during the week ahead of the Sunday clash. One of the more fascinating figures in the game, Bob Murphy.
Yes, and he's one of those players who's been a good player for a long time, but just in his last couple of years been just exceptional. New captain of the Bulldogs. Now, I think it's a different story next week. Etihad Stadium. Bulldogs is a different assignment for Hawthorn and the Eagles at the MCG.
Gibson in from the side, kills it, knocks it out of bounds.
What I've seen today with the Eagles, their leg speed as a whole collective, they haven't been able to break away from Hawthorn at all. Hawthorn have just clung onto them, so every Eagles disposal tends to be pressured. They haven't been able to break clear at all.
When it comes to speed, the Bulldogs have got that in spades, haven't they? Ball bounces down towards half forward. Gunston battling on the ground. Kennedy with the outside of the boot, and this ball just wanders towards the boundary and eventually goes out in front of Littleland. So just over 4.5 minutes remaining in this game. The grand final rematch has gone much the way of the grand final. 45 points the difference. What was the margin? This is very close to that last year, I think. 45 points.
46.
There you go. Just when I thought I was shot with a memory. Ball goes out of bounds on the full. And Gaff will get the resultant free kick.
What we know is the last 10 minutes wasn't that exciting. That we know.
Yes.
As it is today. They're playing it out now, and the Eagles, going to be an interesting the way they emotionally rebound from.
Well, 45 today, 46 last year. I mean, coaches search for anything. They'll say we've improved. There's a chance for Darling. Can he find a way through? Close quarters makes it Yo's problem. Gunston tried to soccer off the ground. Hitting the post, as Lai said. He's tried hard in this final term, the big guy.
Well, Gibson, that's number 42. 13 spoils amongst it. Do you reckon he's got an ice bath for his fist?
Yeah. He has controlled it back there, hasn't he?
Been remarkable. Langford to Smith. Prittis, interestingly, last 58 matches, 20 possessions or more for Prittis, just 17 today. We spoke pre-match about how you contain Prittis. Well, the rest of the competition can look at what Hawthorn have done.
Yeah, ask Hawthorn. They control Prittis and Natanui and Kennedy, the big three for the Eagles, who have not got a sniff against Hawthorn the last couple of times they've played.
Only Pendlebury and Swan have had longer streaks of 20-plus games. So Prittis, he's got 3.5 minutes to grab the football 3 times. Almost a chance here. McAvoy stopped it, got hold of it, slapped it wide. Puopolo, Nelson, Bruce. Puopolo again involved. You talk about being able to control the controllables. So often Prittis and Natanui are the uncontrollables, but Hawthorn seemingly have their measure.
Lewis tackled from two sides. Just over 3 minutes remaining. Up goes Lewis, third man up, loves that role. The acting captain today gets the footy. Slips a hand pass away. Another possession for Gibson. There's Birchall inside the forward 50. Jetta going the wrong way. At the back is Schofield, taken down by Rioli. He's been tough down there, Rioli, today. Making a lot of those tackles hurt and stick. McGovern gets it from Butler. High ball outside the 50. They're queuing up there. Eventually it falls to Birchall. He got it from Lewis. Now an opportunity for Schoenmakers. Steals it away from Cripps, Crawley and Mitchell.
Low ball inside 50, won't find the man that he's searching for. Schofield had it kicked in his direction. They've been under siege all day. The Eagles defenders. Hearn, one of those. Handballs to a runner, misses him. Gaff has to go and get it again. Big collision. Bruce put his body on the line. Isaac Smith benefits, and again, low ball inside. Again, Schofield, the man on the end of it. Lee, the mental damage, you talked about it. Not only the Eagles going to get the 4 points, but they're going to leave the MCG, losing 15 of the last 19 here, and again, unable to solve the Hawthorn puzzle.
No, it's a basic problem for all the non-Melbourne teams that they don't play the MCG much, and if all of a sudden they have a few bad games, they getting to the grand final might be a darn sight easier than playing well on that day.
O'Rourke, one of these young Hawks, finding an old veteran.
One spare in their forward line, Hawthorn.
Burgoyne inside the forward 50, setting himself a climbing high as Schoenmakers. A real athlete.
He was cruising on around on his own down there. He was the third Hawthorn player. It was only a matter of whether his teammate upfield could find him.
And such has been the Hawks' dominance with the ball today. West Coast have only had 2 players with 20 more possessions, whereas Hawthorn have had 11. Massive discrepancy.
Schoenmakers looking to work this one a little left to right, I would think. And he started it way left. It's not coming back. Helped across the line by Lysette. In the last minute of the game. 14-14, 7-11, short one. Comes into Nelson. Nelson coughs it up. Birchall's got it. Birchall just on the 50. I think the crowd want him to go to Cyril. Either him or Josh Gibson.
Clear it out, Sean, take him away.
Not sure what they're up to here, but Birchall has decided he'll kick it.
Join the party.
Yeah. It's on the way from the Tasmanian, but it's way off cue and across the line for a behind.
Last 4 goals of the afternoon to Hawthorn. 4 points for the first time this year for Hawthorn. They will head into Sunday's clash against the Western Bulldogs with renewed enthusiasm, undermanned but certainly not overwhelmed. They have been brilliant this afternoon, and the Eagles again have failed to find a way. Hawthorn have become very good at being very good. So as it was in the grand final, the Hawks beat the Eagles by 46 points. Disposals. That is a club record, I'm told. Brad Sewell is with a man who's had a day out.
Give unbelievable lazy 44 of yourself. You're roaming around halfback. More importantly, great response after last week. Grand final rematch. Well done.
Yeah, you're right, mate. More importantly, the response. You know, we're really disappointed with the way we played last week. I reckon we played one good quarter of footy, so really pleased that the guys came out, played the way they did today. Our younger guys stood up. Sis kicked the bag. I thought Billy Hartung really put his head over the footy and created some runs. So really pleased with the younger guys looking after us older blokes.
Not only that, but he managed to finish off with a goal as well. He really enjoyed that in the big screen too.
I haven't kicked one since my last game for North Melbourne, so it's been about 130 outings or something, mate. So I'm not going to go down in the books. He's never kicking one for Hawthorn, thank God.
Mate, get over and enjoy it. Well done.
Thanks, Crush.
Well, Lee, you have most records at Hawthorn, but 44 has been achieved now by 5 Hawks. Jordan Lewis, Luke Hodge, Wallace and Condon, and now Gibson.
It's a lot, and they're all kind of midfield types, really, but to do it across the half-back is an exceptional performance.
Well, it has been a remarkable Hawthorn again that's got hold of the Eagles. 14-15-99, West Coast 7-11-53. Hawthorn by 46.
This has been a Fox Footy presentation, part of the Fox Sports Network.